Have you ever felt the absolute joy of being loved by your pet? Or have you felt the absolute joy of loving your pet? It's amazing, right? But what happens when they pass and you have a heart that aches and is broken, and the only thing you have are memories that keep you company? Have you shut down? Do you have a guarded heart? More importantly, are you afraid to open up to love ever again? If so, you're in the right place. Let's talk. Today, I'd like to explore why we close down and close our hearts, and how to move past grief in a gentle and a graceful way that leads you to a deeper connection within yourself. It's really a reconnection with your heart. We all have stories about our lives, about things that have happened to us. That's how we make sense of our world. We'll have an event and then, we'll tell somebody about it. That's our story. So our stories of grief and loss and difficult challenges can stick with us from childhood all the way through adulthood. In fact, they can stick with us so long that we start to identify them as being who we are and being completely true. One time, Katie, one of my closest animal friends, and I were having a conversation. Okay, well, with Katie, it was always more like instruction. Katie told me, and she was super wise, she told me that humans experience lots of emotions, but they don't understand them. They don't know what to do with them. And because they don't understand them, and they become afraid of them, and often pretend they aren't there. Animals, she said, on the other hand, feel their emotions and allow them to pass through. She's like, humans hang on to feelings and cloak their feelings and by acting as if everything is fine. I was sure she wasn't talking about me, but I sat up when I heard that. Humans, she told me, have heart shapes. And that was so interesting because I had never heard that term before. That those are forms that come from our life experiences, both positive and negative. Heart shapes reflect our emotions at any given time. So we can actually have a lot of heart shapes going on at the same time. And in grief, there are a ton of different emotions swimming around all over the place. It can be difficult to kind of identify and sort out what you're feeling in grief, except maybe a terrific sorrow and heaviness. Our hearts ache with such a pain and weight that can cause some of us, well, to shut down, and our spirits feel broken. So I always like to share what Katie and the animals have taught me about the heart shapes, because if we understand what we're feeling and we don't push it away, we have the courage to face them, then we give ourselves permission to carry the full spectrum of love forward. So I want to share some typical heart shapes that you might be experiencing in grief now or have experienced. Picture them as individual expressions of your emotions, because they are. For instance, you might have a broken heart. You might have a heavy heart. You might have a fragmented heart, a stuck heart, guarded heart, contracted heart. What about an angry heart? You think that rolls around in grief? Do any of these resonate? Maybe you're not feeling them currently, but have in the past. Or are there others that I haven't named that you're feeling? It's just good to take the pulse of where your emotions are at any given time. It's like getting to know ourselves in a way that we're not always taught. It keeps them from hiding and from lurking in the shadows and then surprising you later. If we have the courage to face our feelings, we have the chance to grow from our experience. And our animals are always, always trying to help us with that. So now I want you to take a look how those heart shapes that you may or may not have identified as I'm speaking affect your daily life. Do they empower you? Do they hold you back? Do you want to hang on to them? Note to self, our heart shapes aren't hanging on to us. We are the ones hanging on to them. But I do want you to know something really important. All heart shapes have a purpose. They have a voice. a message, and a gift to give. Your emotions aren't there to punish you. They're actually trying to help. Sometimes it doesn't feel like that though. But what happens when our emotions get stuck? And how do you know somebody has stuck emotions? Well, a heart wall forms. It's a barricade put in place to keep us safe from any further pain. The problem is with that one, it doesn't keep us safe. A heart wall isolates you from what your heart truly longs for. So I want to ask you, what does your heart long for today, right now? Be honest. Do you want connection? Do you want peace? Do you want joy? Love? Hearts are meant to love, and love is meant to be shared. It really does take a lot of work to hold back love. We have to really put that block up. And in order to do so, we're actually identifying more with the pain and the hurt than by all the love gifts our pets gave us. So recently, it's very interesting. I ran into someone and I felt like I knew this person. I was an older gentleman. I'd never really seen him. He felt like he was a soul friend. Have you ever had that happen? He felt a little guarded to me, like he kept his emotions at bay, kind of under lock and key. Um, he shared some aspects of his life, some that were really difficult. I think he was a veteran, and I don't think he gets the chance to connect with others very often. He's kind of a gruff sort. He lives alone and kind of in his own world. But that day, as we chatted, I saw the coolest thing. I watched as his eyes lit up and a smile form on his face. He was so open. He told me about his beautiful golden retriever, Sandy, and how she'd been his constant companion, going with him everywhere. And then he remembered something, and he laughed, and he told me that about the time he had an ice cream cone, they'd gone on a trip, and he turned his head to look at something, and in the split second his head turned, she had helped herself completely to the treat. It was so funny, and all he did was laugh when she did it. It was such an endearing moment. But for me, it was so enjoyable to watch the dance of his energy, his aliveness, his true self. And I could feel Sandy right there, sharing that memory with him, helping him open up. She was pinging his heart. So I'd like for you to pause for just a minute. I want to ask you, have you ever felt your pet ping your heart? It was only when he remembered that she was gone that literally the brightness and smile faded from his face. It was so sad. His voice trailed off, and he stood in front of me with the most sorrow-filled eyes I had ever seen. You see, for a few minutes, he had opened up his heart by sharing Sandy with me, and it had felt so good to him. It was a remembering of who he was when she was here that he still has access to. Have you ever had that happen? Like you've forgotten your circumstances for a moment to step into a kind of a happiness you didn't even know you had was there and then felt guilty for feeling it, or was like, oh, I shouldn't even be feeling this. Our pets go to great lengths to help us keep our hearts open to love even more. And sometimes, like with my friend, we don't even realize that's a possibility. So we shut back down again. I've got another story. Is my friend Valerie, this is a great one, told me that after she had lost her beautiful dog, Ellie, she declared, not going to ever have any pets anymore. Can't do this again. Can't take the pain. My heart is done. She made up her mind. And then she ran into a person who was walking her dog that looked just like Ellie. It's the old doppelganger trick. Valerie stopped and smiled, and her heart was opening and aching at the same time. And she told the stranger all about Ellie. And then the oddest thing happened. This person that she didn't know looked straight into her eyes and said, very matter of factly, there's a dog at the shelter that's yours. You need to go see her. Well, this was kind of a moment out of the Twilight Zone, but it stopped Valerie in her tracks. And you know what? Something in the lady's voice, her tone, her clarity caused Valerie to listen. And I mean, really listen. She was intrigued enough to check it out for herself. But remember, she had decided she wasn't ever loving another dog again. You can guess the end of this story, right? What a setup. Valerie goes to the shelter and, of course, finds the dog that the lady has spoken of. Their eyes meet. Her heart bursts open, and the dog comes home with her. You know, she's been with Valerie for over 10 years now and has assisted her with her healing practice with animals. Isn't that beautiful? That was an angel who had stopped by if ever there was one. She had a guarded heart that melted and cracked open in the presence of love. So the animals want us to know there's even more love than we can even imagine out there, and from others, from other animals and other humans. There's more joy, there's more peace, there's more connection. Your animal is always wanting to be included in the conversation of your life, whether you're happy or sad, you're grieving or celebrating. They're in every detail of your life, every corner of your heart. Our job is to keep our light on, even if it's just a small one right now. So just remember, we can have a monologue with grief, or we can have a dialogue with love. We can keep our hearts open or shut ourselves off. What will you choose? What would your pet want you to choose? I'm pretty sure you know the answer to that. Your pet would want you to reconnect with the light within you, in your heart, which is where they live, and the love that still surrounds you. So maybe you'll give it a try. I hope so. Invite love and light back into your heart. Don't be afraid and see what happens. What if it brings you comfort or peace? Or maybe you might just smile again. You're loved. Your heart matters, and you're never walking this path alone. If this video touched your heart, please like it and subscribe to the channel. And please share it with anybody that you think could use this message today. Thank you for watching and for being here.